did we record
last? That would be May 11th.
Wow.
I'm sorry. May 17th. It's been like 3 months. Yeah. So we're terrible.
It was May 17th at 8:12 p.m. Okay. Get it right.
Be specific.
Oh my god.
Oh.
My uncompressed audio takes 36 gigs. What?
I don't know.
Well, anyway.
I don't know. But it's been a while. And we last uploaded to the audience on June 28th. So, yeah, we're a bit behind. But, you know, we do what we can. Life is a roller coaster, and we just have to take the ride wherever it goes.
Amen, sister.
Yeah. So I hope that you can I'm assuming I'm talking to other people, but like if they're listening to this speech, I just want to say I hope that we are like one of the people, you know, like the real people that are in the world working, having lives, we're busy, and we're also trying to podcast. Podcasting isn't like a luxury. It is a luxury. It's not something that we just have all the time in the world to do, but we do love doing it. So we like to make the time. I do anyways. What about you?
I hate making the time. This is awful. Why am I here? Let me go.
Well, this explains it, guys. This is... No, I'm kidding.
I'm fighting the power.
I'm kidding. It was a lot of my fault, too. Like, it was... Yeah. Oh,
we're both bad.
We're terrible. Oh, my gosh. But we'll dive in. Okay. We have a lot to talk about. There's been a lot of time, so we have so much to fill you guys in on. And we might have to split it up into 2 episodes because, yeah, it's just...
But first, welcome to my office.
And my bedroom.
I'm Zorgon.
Oh, that's awkward. I thought you were Andrew this whole time.
Nope.
Dang. Well, I'm Lisa. Just same old me.
Regular old Lisa. Okay. That's fine. This is the No Kidding Podcast, and we're getting started.
Yeah,
finally, after all this time that we've been out, not recording.
Yeah, we were chatting before this and just really off the rails because we were so excited to be together again. And I just had to remind Andrew that we really had to take our composure back because this is a serious podcast. We can't be joking and getting all hyper and excited, right? We need to really level off and do what we're here to do, which is
welcome.
bring you serious content. So, on that note, what's new?
I thought you were going to launch in with something completely absurd to juxtapose your previous statements.
I wish I was that inventive and creative, but
well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've been treating myself, Lisa.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
I feel like
has.
This was like, you know, nerve-wracking to switch jobs and everything. So I'm just, you know. It's been nice to have a little extra spending cash, and it doesn't all have to go in the bank. Obviously, I want to save most of it, but you know, it's nice. It's nice to line the pockets too. I guess both of those are. I guess one's actually it's not lining my pockets. Instead, technology is. It's mostly technology. Well, I got a leather jacket. Now, hear me out. I know it's the dead of summer, but that's the best time to buy a leather jacket.
Oh yeah, that's true because it's probably cheaper.
Yeah. See. It's not real leather either, so it's not really that. But it looks cool. I feel like Star-Lord when I'm wearing it.
That is
well,
so
maybe
cool.
It doesn't look cool, but I feel like Star-Lord when I'm wearing it.
You know, I've always had a fantasy of owning a leather jacket. Not a leather jacket. Like, I've never really wanted a real leather jacket because I feel like those would be really heavy and hot. I don't know. But, yeah, and I never pulled that trigger. So I have a little bit of inspiration or envy, I guess. I don't know. But not in a good way. Not envy. The envy's really bad. I just mean, I'm happy for you.
How dare you?
That's what I mean.
How dare you envy my leather jacket?
I don't envy it. I just...
No, that's why I got it. I walk around and I'm like, you're not me.
You're not cool like this. Okay.
That's a very, very leather jacket maneuver.
Wow. Congratulations. What color is it? Is it black or is it brown?
It's like a brownish red. That's why I said it kind of like makes me vibe like Star-Lord. So
yeah, I should have guessed that because, yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. So, what else do you... I mean, is there any more to say about the jacket? Or you have...
What do you mean? There's so much to say. It has a
like how
removable, zippable hood.
Yes. Oh,
so
yeah.
So it looks like you're wearing like you're a cool New Yorker and you're wearing multiple layers and you have a hoodie under your leather jacket. Yes. Or if you don't like that look, you just like unzip it and then you have like just a like decapitated hood.
Amazing. Yes.
Wear, I guess, if you want. I should just wear that sometimes, like a scarf. But it's a hood. It's just a hood.
Absolutely. That's so funny because that's like kind of the exact style that I was looking at too.
Yeah, it's cool. Funny. I mean, I never zip it up, actually. I almost always take it off, but I like that it's an option.
Yeah.
It's got lots of pockets.
That's
only one of them is fake.
One of them is fake?
Yeah.
That's awkward.
I hate clothes that have fake pockets, but they did this one for the aesthetic because they wanted like a zipper in the front.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, it gives it like biker look. But then I opened it and there's... Well, I don't want to say it's not a functional pocket. You could fit like a toothpick in there.
Oh, wow.
In between the zipper and the fabric.
So technically
it's a toothpick pocket.
It's totally, legit. Got it.
Yeah.
So, go on. Tell us more about your jacket.
Well, that's pretty much it for the day. I mean, it's there. I've only worn it once because I went to Colorado, so that was kind of convenient. I didn't buy it for that reason. It was just like, it was actually kind of inconvenient because I had to fly with it, pack it. It was pretty bulky, but.
Yeah, I've been there.
But then I popped it on. And I was like, yeah, I'm up in the snow in summer. Yeah. And I got my leather jacket on. It's actually
so cool.
Pretty warm there, so.
You totally regretted that. You're like,
no, it was fine.
I bring this, but.
It was better than Florida. I'll give it that.
Okay, well, that's good. Speaking of jackets, they're like, this is, I hate to go on a tangent. However, so I've been watching a lot of Nathan Fielder. I don't know if you know who that is. Probably.
Nathan Fielder, no.
So you will have to find this on, well, I don't know if you have HBO Max, but he has 2 shows on there. And I've been a little bit like into that. So he is a comedian kind of, well, actually I think his show airs on Comedy Central, but then like all the episodes get put on HBO Max. But, anyway, but his show, it's so funny because it's like our kind of humor where he's very sarcastic and like serious, but it's comedy. Like he does it in a comedic way. Yeah, well, yeah, he is, but he's super awkward, but kind of like intentionally, but like that's his character. Anyway, but the jacket episode was, so he has this jacket that he would wear forever. Like he always wore it for years and years and years. But the jacket got some negative press because it was like anti-Semitism to it.
Okay, so I was like, how can a jacket be controversial?
Yeah.
There you go.
So the brand, I guess, did. And so he's like, I can't wear my favorite jacket anymore. And he couldn't risk buying from another brand because they could eventually come into some controversy. So he's like, so I'm going to create my own jacket brand that basically
is immune to controversy. No way that I could insult anyone.
Exactly. And on top of that, it's going to be like representative of the Jewish Holocaust and like promote history and like all of that. So
wow.
Anyways, it gets pretty crazy, but what's the crazy part that I'm getting to is that he actually did design this as a jacket. So you can actually buy it.
That's cool.
Yeah. And it's actually pretty cool, like active kind of a jacket. It's not a cool leather jacket. It's like more for like hiking and just regular everyday jacket. But what's kind of cool about it is he does give the 100% of the proceeds to like a museum that has the Jewish history and everything. But that wasn't his original intention. It was just like for the show, for comedy or whatever. But he hired, I don't know, you gotta watch it because it's a funny episode. I know it just sounds serious, but all of his episodes are funny. But basically he has 2 shows. One is it's called Nathan for You, and he helps small businesses that are struggling or have some issue, and he goes in and presents them with like an idea to help their business, and it's always like a super obnoxious, like out of the box idea, and he convinces them to try it, and then they go through the process of trying this. And what's crazy about it though is like all of his ideas are actually kind of genius. and they're actually like good ideas, even though they're weird and dumb. And then his other show is called The Rehearsal, and that one's so weird because he basically he helps people like rehearse a difficult or like a difficult situation or something that they want to try, but they're not sure that they really want to try it, like having a kid, for example, and
right.
Or like confronting somebody that you love or like whatever. So he goes through this process. The whole episode is them doing like an actual rehearsal of that event happening, like step by step, and it's like super detailed. And he's even built a replica of a bar that they're gonna do it in, and like it's crazy, but it's really fun. It's fun. It's funny. But so that was the jacket thing. It was just just reminded me of that episode because but what else are you spending your money on these days?
The thing you just mentioned like reminds me of the YouTube channel Unnecessary Inventions. Have you seen that?
I don't think so.
It's like a guy who makes like a bunch of random stuff. Like he makes just the most absurd inventions you could think of, like the broom that is a vacuum cleaner, or like at the same time, and they're like, yeah, it's the weirdest stuff. But it's kind of cool to see people like become really inventive about like stupid little problems they have.
Well, that's funny because there is actually. Well, not a broom and a vacuum, but that's probably how there's a vacuum that also mops, like they do both at once. So that's probably how that got invented. Something similar. Like they were just being weird and thought, hey, how can we combine two things that are functional?
And then the more insane version of that is there's another YouTube channel called I Did a Thing. Who's like this Australian guy, and he makes like very insane inventions. Like he made a hammer that has like gun cartridges in it so that it like hammers extra hard. Like whenever you strike it down, it like fires the gun and it like shoots, but there's no bullets in it. It's just the gunpowder, and it like shoots the head harder onto the like
oh
nail
my
or
gosh, yeah.
And then you have to reload it after each hammer.
What?
It's funny.
Wow.
Yeah. He does a lot of crazy stuff.
That sounds fun.
Other things like he made a treadmill, but he replaced the belt part, like the part you run on, with just a huge thing of sandpaper, so you could like sand like amazing amount of things. He did a video about how many shirts does it take to become bulletproof.
How many did it take?
It took like 160 years. Like he couldn't even wear it. Like he was like, because he shot like increasing numbers of shirts until it stopped going through. Yeah, and he said you can't really wear more than 60. Once you get there, like it starts like
suffocating you. Yeah. Wow. That's cool. That sounds interesting. That sounds like something that I would, because I like.
It's just like it's a fascinating channel that has like a bizarre energy to it. Like when you're watching it, it's just like, who is this person? Why did he decide suddenly that he needs to make this?
That's funny.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I'll have to look into both of those.
A phone.
A what?
That's what I've been spending my money on. You asked earlier.
Oh, you got a phone.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
I'm wondering, like, I got it right around the last time we record. It's been like a decent little break in between our podcasts that I wonder if I talked about this before, but if you don't know about it, then I guess I did.
No, I don't remember that. But I mean, I wouldn't go off my memory.
I don't upgrade phones very often. This was probably the first phone that I've upgraded not because it was completely busted, but just because it had like not had security updates for so long that I was like, I gotta get a new phone. So yeah, that's the main reason I did it. And also like work apps and stuff wouldn't work on it because it was like out of date. So yeah,
well, that's a necessity nice. For sure.
Yeah, it was cool. I just love tech and I love like pulling it up and stuff, but just like I've created a lot of problems for myself because I do things in weird ways and I like to set up complex things like in my technology, and then I'm like, it's fine, I never need to touch it again. Like I've programmed that or whatever to do what it does, and then it'll just do it forever. But now when I'm moving phones, like I have like these taskers and like all kinds of crazy stuff that's like, yeah, sure, you can like port these over, but it just does not work the right way because I'm like accessing like system files and like intents that are specific to certain versions of apps and stuff, and it's like, oh god, this is a nightmare, and I don't even.
Oh yeah.
So that's the downside of getting really nitty and gritty with your tech. Like one thing I have notes on my phone that I want to keep synced like with other places, other computers and stuff. And instead of being a normal person who just like makes a Google Drive doc and then like, it automatically syncs across all your devices. I got annoyed with the way that Google forces you to put like that folder somewhere specific and then some apps can't access it and stuff like that. And it's just like weird. It's like, no, you need to actually like make these a part of like our apps file system. So I created a Git repository, like basically what people use to do version control on code. And I put my notes in that and I have it like automatically doing terminal commands in the background to like sync them around. And so like I'm trying to reset it up and I just like, I'm a mess right now because my notes are all fractured.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God.
That's the worst thing about changing, well, like homes or phones or anything like that. Like when you move, it's just like trying to get your life back to where it was. It's like chaos. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see the appeal of plug and play systems.
Yeah.
But let's see what else. I talked about my Oculus last time. That was another thing.
Yeah, you did.
Cool. I've been playing Half-Life Alyx though. That's super fun. Holy crap. That's such a fun game.
What? Say it again.
Half-Life Alyx.
Half-Life.
That's kind of like
you did tell me about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I said I was gonna play it last time.
Yeah.
It's super fun. It's kind of like the premier VR game because it's just to recap last time because it's very like technically advanced, I guess. Like it's really polished for a VR game, whereas like right now a lot of VR games are very much like, what is this technology? I'm going to make something that kind of resembles a game and release it as a quote unquote beta, but really it's just like a technical test because people just like don't know how to make games for VR yet. But yeah, it was like Valve's attempt and it's really good, really seamless, very polished. It like makes you very much feel like you're in the world. Like all the random crap on the desk or whatever, like you can pick it up and look at it and like interact with it in different ways, and it's cool. I love it. And the environments are so neat, and it has the right level of terrifying. Like I feel like it's not a horror game, but it has a few moments where like it wouldn't even really be that scary in another game, where it's like you're sitting in your living room and then like you're looking at the TV, walking around as your character, and then they walk into a dark room and you're like, ooh, spooky. But when you actually have a VR headset on and you go into a dark room, it's actually pitch black and you can't see anything. And you're like, oh my God. And you're like the ding, 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 ding of like you kicking a can or something. And you're like, where am I? What's going on? Is there something that's going to eat me in here?
Yeah, that's cool. I remember, like I said, I think last time that I played Half-Life, like, way back in the day when it was originally, I guess it was the original version. I don't know. But I do remember really liking it. And I remember it being kind of scary, but not like too scary where like I didn't want to play. I don't know though if I have that same feeling now. I don't know. Like I'd have to watch it because I feel like things affect me more now than they used to. Like certain
you're more sensitive.
I don't know, because I used to love like more dark stuff. Like I went through a pretty long-standing dark era, like I was into
the Dark Ages,
like vampires and
you had all those Anne Rice books.
And like I was really into more of the dark side, and I was really like okay with things. The only thing is I never really got into slasher films, but I did like horror films. Like I did more like psychological thriller type stuff. And
the less gore, the better.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, it just seemed overdone. And like, I was like, okay, I mean, like, it's not scary, but it's like, ugh, like why? I don't know. It wasn't interesting to me, but.
Ever want to do a Saw marathon?
A what marathon?
Saw.
Oh, see, no, I'm not really into Saw.
See,
I mean, I get that that's like a psychological thriller in the sense that you obviously have to figure out a puzzle, but you don't really have to. Yeah, I was going to say,
and a lot of them aren't really even, I don't know if you've seen it, but some of them aren't really puzzles as such. They're pretty much just like hurt yourself to survive.
Right. So that's not my thing. But even with that said, I like now, I guess I'm still kind of into stuff like that, but I'm not, but I am more sensitive to it to a degree where I wasn't before. Whereas before I was like, didn't affect me at all. But now I find there's like, even when I'm playing Sherlock Holmes, sometimes I'm like, oh, it's kind of, this is kind of spooky. I'm like,
a little spooky.
But I guess part of the problem is I'm doing all these things at night, and I think that affects things too. But I don't know.
You're like, it's the witching hour.
Yeah.
Can't handle this.
So, yeah, I don't know. But it's okay. Maybe I can get back into it. But I mean, because, that's another thing. Like, so Mike was trying to get me to play a scary game because he knows I'm kind of more into that sort of genres. And then, and I was like, this is too much for me. Like, where you go into a dark room and then you don't know what's going to happen. And then it's the like the haunted house feeling where it's like, you never know what's going to pop out at you or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I don't really want to
like
increase my cortisol
scares?
level. I have enough stress in my life now. As an adult, I don't need any more stress. So,
well, that's all storytelling is.
Oh, okay.
It's all stress. It's just different versions of building you up into worrying about something and then being like, but then it was all okay. Or it wasn't. They're dead.
I guess that's true. Yeah. I guess that's true. I did watch, I think last time you recommended Russian Doll.
Yeah, that's an awesome show. I recently finished it.
I did watch that since our last chat. And yeah, it was good. But like that was kind of more of like a darker theme, but I did okay with that.
And you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did okay with that.
There you go.
Yeah. So anything else you spending your money on, fancy boy?
No, I broke after that stuff. That was several paychecks, but yeah. Well, what's left over of them. But yeah, it's very cool. I talked about this earlier. I actually got this like a long time ago, but you might hear in the background the whirring. Sorry for anybody, but there's a 3D printer going on back there.
You have a 3D printer? Since when?
I've had that one for a while, like 6 months or so. I actually got that as kind of like a birthday gift or the what do you call it? A Christmas gift to myself because yeah. I've been wanting one for like ever, and now that I have an office, this was like kind of the reason for my office was like to have like weird stuff that my wife would be like, why is this in our living room? Which is pretty much the VR and the 3D printer. So that's what I've been saving up for.
Okay.
It is super useful though. Like I've made stuff for her. Like she needed the ID in her wallet. It's like super weird. This wallet is like really, it's like sewn. The leather is like so tight that you put in the driver's license and you can see it. You have the little window so you can still see it. But if you want to get it out of there, forget it. Like there's no way to get your fingers in there and like to get it out. It's like the worst.
Yeah.
Where you have to get like a knife and like try and like pry it out. It's a whole thing. So it's basically because the stitching is just so that like once it goes in far enough, the stitching pops up and like blocks it. So I 3D printed like a fake card that you can like slide in under it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that you made like a scoop, like a license scoop.
A little license scoop. I should be like that guy with the unnecessary invention.
Yeah.
Need a license scoop?
Right.
Yeah. So it's just enough to like keep it from getting like totally locked in there, and then you can like slip it out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
just one thing.
I'd be interested. I mean, I've seen a couple YouTube videos of people doing stuff, but I've based on those videos, it seems like there's a little bit of a learning curve because it's I mean, I don't know what kind you have.
Like I got a pretty beginner friendly one, and it's surprising like how easy it was. Like there is definitely like if you want to get it really refined and looking like perfect, or like eliminating more of the work that you have to do by hand, like sometimes like sanding off like rough spots and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Like sometimes like there's like tuning you can do, but pretty much out of the box, like it was pretty much just like slap an SD card in it with a 3D model and hit go. Pretty much like did it.
Okay.
It was honestly easier than setting up some laser printers. But the only issue, well, I don't like that it has a SD card as much. Like there is an option to connect it directly to the computer, but if your computer ever goes to sleep or something, it like freezes the print in the middle of what it's doing, and you pretty much have to restart it because it'll like melt that area of the plastic because it just is like keeping the hot end like right next to the plastic and like burns it.
Yeah.
So that's great. But yeah, that's really the only downside is that I have to ferry them over on SD cards. If I could go back in time, I would get one of those that you could like send files to over Wi-Fi. But I could build something with a Raspberry Pi if they ever become available again.
So do you have different colors, or is it all just like white or black? Or
I'm still on my first roll, which is amazing.
Wow.
So it came with a gray roll of like PLA, and it's like this thing makes so many things. Like it didn't look like that much plastic. Like I was like, okay, yeah, this is like a decent amount to begin with, but it's getting pretty low at this point. But I have like a whole stack of like. So I'm printing out right now. It's going in the background because I am trying to print out desk organizers. So they're like little like segmented pieces that slide in together and like can divide up a drawer. So that I can have like little sections for each of my stuff.
Cool.
But it is like so much like volume, like because part of the thing is like if there's any kind of like volume to the whatever piece you're making, it actually is mostly air in the inside. Like it fills it with like a honeycomb kind of like pattern. Right. So it's like pretty empty. So like I have like a solid block of like plastic here that it feels like just this is more than they ever sent me, but this is like only half of what I've printed.
I have a question.
Volume wise.
So are you like, let's say you make something, you know, for fun or whatever, or maybe a couple different things and they just don't turn out the way you want. Can you recycle that plastic, or is it done? You have to throw it away if it's like...
So you can't print it again.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think it's kind of ruined from that perspective, but there is some things you can do with it. There's definitely a lot of waste. Okay. I do feel bad about the like, what's my carbon footprint?
I was just wondering, because I mean, that would be kind of great if they figured out a way to reinsert it into the printer and you could just like reuse it. But
you can use it as glue, kind of. So you can mix it with acetone, which melts PLA. And if you mix it in just the right mixture, so it just kind of makes it like gummy and like syrupy, I guess, with just your whatever leftover plastic you have, you can glue your pieces together with that like syrup, because like basically it's like a little adhesive. You can spread it onto the surface of the whatever the print you have printed out, and it actually like softens, because it's got the acetone in it. It softens the face of it, and then you just like stick another, you know, whatever other piece you want to glue to it against that, and then the acetone eventually evaporates, and then you're left with literally like bonded plastic. Like it's like chemically bonded. Like it's almost as if it was printed as one piece.
Cool. So like if you ever needed to, I guess, fuse something together and you're like, what can I use? Like,
right. Specifically PLA though.
Wow.
So yeah, it's, you know, just so you don't totally waste all of it, is nice. I keep like a couple pieces around for that if I need to, but,
nice.
Yeah, it also saved me recently, because I'm trying to build like out of my old PC parts that I've been hoarding forever, trying to build like a server, to run like my smart home, which and like do a bunch of other stuff. One of them being I want it to be a NAS, so like, you know, your own personal Google Drive kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I got these hard drives, but this old chassis I have is like so old. A bunch of the pieces are missing out of it, like the drive trays. So some of the drives were just like hanging out in there. Like they were just like
weird.
If I flip the computer around, they would just like fall over. So I Googled, there was one tray left in there, so I got at least a little bit of a preview of what it should look like. But I Googled around. There's a site called Thingiverse where you can get like pretty much any prints. Like that's pretty much like where everybody goes to post whatever creations they have.
Is it like a template thing?
Yeah, so it's like you can literally just go there and download, like there's tons of models of different stuff. Like if you're like, I want a little toy cat, and then it has a toy cat, and you download it and then just say print, and it's good to go.
Okay.
So I looked up like hard drive rails, and I found I had to modify them slightly. So I actually got some calipers and stuff to like measure precisely things in my surroundings, because I've been like copying stuff and like making 3D prints, because it's actually pretty easy. There's a site called Tinkercad, so you can actually like do 3D models like right in your browser. You don't even need to download anything. It's wild.
Wow. It's called Tinkercad. That's funny.
Huh?
Tinkercad. I like that.
Yeah, it is. It's actually made by Autodesk.
Okay.
So the people who make AutoCAD.
I was gonna say it's like very similar.
Yeah. So it was it's serendipitous, I guess. But yeah, so I did end up printing these rails based on the like the live sample I had here and like the template that I found on Thingiverse, and it took me maybe like, I don't know, like a total of like 15 minutes to like create this model and like off of his example. And I have like perfectly working hard drive rails now. And they're actually they're cooler and more like efficient than the ones that come with the case. Like these have even less plastic, and they could just like stick on the side of any hard drive and turns it into something that'll just like slot into my PC. It's cool.
That is cool. Neat.
It just feels nice like to be able to like conceptualize the thing and then make it like just out of like, I want it to look like this, because I've always been more of like, I've been better at like digital design rather than like physical design. I feel like I end up making mistakes and then I get obsessed with it. Like I'm like, how do I fix this? Like I feel like whenever you're like a physical maker kind of person that does like, you know, woodworking or anything like that, like you just kind of learn to accept certain flaws and mistakes in your work, because you're like, well, that piece of wood is chipped, so I mean they're redoing everything, or that's just going to be the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they still come out looking amazing, so I should probably emulate that. But I feel like when I'm working with physical stuff, it's just a lot more like, I'm just like, that's not quite right. I need to like push this a little bit up and over, and like I want it to look like perfect and really good, like have like really nice cut lines and everything.
It's not precise.
Right, it's not precise enough, and then I can't conceptualize sometimes beforehand. Like when I'm making a 3D model, I might like model it out, and then I'm like, oh, you know what, this actually kind of sticks out and interferes with this other thing. Actually, let's move that over here and do this over there. And like it's just cool to work. It's just so much easier for me to work in digital design. It's like,
yes, it's fun.
So I like to like get it all just right and perfect, and I'm like, okay, and then I hit print and it's good to go.
Cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that is cool. I was going to say, there was just something that I heard about, I don't know, not that long ago, but I don't remember when, but it's called Crayon, but it's like, it's an AI that it's a website. So it's not 3D, but it's a site where it gives a like a box and you type in anything you want and the AI will draw it.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm talking about?
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's pretty neat, but
you give like prompts and stuff.
Yeah. You like give it a prompt and then it'll draw something for you. But I don't really understand how it works, but because like sometimes it didn't, like it seemed like it didn't draw something, but then again, like maybe it did. It kind of will look like
it didn't.
Well, like it comes up with like a bunch of different. So like for example, if you put in the word bug, and then it'll come up with like a couple different options, but they all look like photographs. But then when you click on them, they look like drawings, but like really detailed drawings. So,
okay.
You know what I mean? So like if you look at it like smaller, you think, oh, they just searched bugs in Google and put them here.
Right.
But yeah, so that can be kind of like throw people off. But anyway, speaking of other hobbies, since you had that hobby, I have been dabbling in more Legos lately, and I've actually stumbled upon like these Legos that are more for adults. So I've been
naughty.
No, not like that. Sorry, that was my naive brain. What I meant was like it's not like toys. Like so, for example, one of them was a fish tank. Like you could make a fish tank. And then
I remember you told me about this.
Yeah. So recently I made a flower arrangement. So it's like, yeah, they're like, they look like real flowers, but obviously not exactly because they're Legos, but they're pretty realistic looking. And so it's like a whole arrangement and you could put it in like a vase. And so I did that. But stuff like that where it's cool. Not like super kiddie, which I don't mind the kid.
They're not toys.
Yeah, they're not
toys.
I
imagine you ripping out of the kid's hand and be like, that's not a toy.
Right.
That's my Legos. That's mommy's Legos.
Exactly. So like, I'm not that I mind them though, because I do enjoy doing like any kind of Legos. I don't really care. But just for the sake of like, if I do want to keep something, I feel like that can fit into my house a little better than, like a toy, like a...
Right. Yeah, I feel like Lego, I appreciate the experience of building a Lego. I think I've said this on the podcast before. But they just don't look good to me. Like when I see even like a really cool, like quote unquote cool, awesome Lego sculpture, it's like the Millennium Falcon at like real scale.
Yeah.
That would be insane if that existed. But yeah, I'm always like, wow. But then I'm like, I wouldn't like want that in my house.
Yes,
like, it
right.
look good.
Exactly. So that's kind of how it's been going. And
I'm impressed with the skill, not
yeah,
with the outcome.
It's more about the fun of building it. And then once it's built, you're like, okay, now I can sell it or get rid of it, which is crazy because it's like they're so expensive.
Yeah, they're really expensive.
They're so expensive. They're too expensive. And so it's nice when people resell them cheaper and then it just gets like shared over and over because, you know.
Oh, I wonder if that's on Thingiverse. I wonder if they have Lego kits on Thingiverse and I can print them out.
Oh yeah, do that. Get around the system.
Bootleg Legos. Legos.
So it's funny because there's a kid that I see regularly. He lives at a house that I go to for my job for therapy. He's not one of my patients, but he's a sibling. He is like.
Wait, we have another sibling? You never told me.
No, it's not my sibling. It's the sibling of my patient. And, but I see him all the time because I go to the house and he is obsessed with Legos too. So we have this like bond where we like talk Legos, but he has like so many, like sets, you know, like you can get whatever, but like the coolest one that he just finished was a whole Mario world. Basically, it's like so many different little parts to this. But the reason it does look
that's
better.
That's what gets me though, because I do love that. I do love building like a really complex thing with like lots of little pieces and like people and like building a like.
It's so cool looking, and I think it looks cool too because it is Mario, so it has more of that digital, you know, like pixelated look to it, I guess. So it kind of goes with the theme a little bit more. But what's also cool about it is his like light up and they move and. He's got extra little parts to it so that it, I don't know, does all these unique things and it's pretty cool. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous, but I would never, like I would want to do it, but then I wouldn't want to keep, again, like I wouldn't want to personally keep, but he's a kid. So he's like, this is the best thing ever, which is
this is the best.
Yeah. And it is cool, but but yeah, those sets can be like, so, and it's like, is it worth putting together and then just getting rid of it? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so what else has been going on? I know you've had a few, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the last time. So you went on a trip.
Like
we've both been like gone.
Tripping.
Yeah, we've been gone for
We've been tripping.
a while.
Yo, Lisa, you tripping.
Yeah, you tripping. Tripping to Colorado. You went to Colorado. I didn't. But
yeah, we both went to the mountains.
We did. I'm going to Colorado in November, but I'll get to experience.
You're copying me is what I'm hearing.
Yes, because it looks so cool. Your video.
You were like, oh, cool. Snow, that's cool.
It looked crazy though. Like the hike you had to do in the snow. I was like,
it was insane. It was actually insane. It was one of the most strenuous hikes I've ever had, and it was on like a retreat with a bunch of like millennials. It was like one of the most rugged experiences I've ever had.
Wow.
And a lot of them are like from California and New York and stuff. And it was just like, this is such an interesting crew to be like literally like backwoods hiking. Because eventually the snow just blocked off the trail and we couldn't see where we were going. So we're just kind of like, well, go to the peak. Like we were just going to like start hiking towards the peak of the mountain.
This is where a compass would come in handy, I think.
Yeah, it was kind of fascinating finding our way back. We did a pretty good job, but it was like one of those things that's like, okay, so we're just YOLOing this, huh?
And hopefully there's no drop-offs because that'd be kind of
yeah. So here's the thing. The snow got really deep in some places, and I was probably the heaviest person there. So I had the unfortunate issue of being like... yeah, pretty much. I think there was like maybe one other person that was heavier than me like at the retreat, and then he turned around at a certain point. Almost everybody went up there though. It was amazing. It was like,
cool.
Go team.
Quite a bonding experience.
Yeah, one girl went up there and like she wasn't really prepared because she just joined the company and she was already like on vacation like when she got hired, and they were like, well, when you're done there, come over here. And so she was like still at her stuff from her other vacation, and she hiked up that mountain and like some like, you know, the kind of Vans that are like Converse that are like they have really low ankle and they have like the print on them. They're like definitely fashionable Converse, like not hiking
like
Converse.
Yeah.
Not that there is hiking Converse, but the worst of the Converse to hike up a mountain with. And that was like one of the craziest and most rigorous hikes because, well, for me, maybe it was a little better for people that could walk on the snow. So let me tell you, trudging through snow, I met my match. Like it was this situation where, being tall is great, except for a few situations. One I learned is walking on snow because other people can just dance across the top of it. Oh, look at me. The snow is perfectly fine. Come along. And then I step out there and it's like, I'm suddenly like up to my hips in snow. And I'm just like, okay, I guess I'm going to
just like fall through.
It's a real situation. It's like, what do I do here? Because like my legs are freezing now. Like you don't realize how quickly you lose. This is going to sound so absurd to people who live places where there's snow, so I apologize. But for us here in Florida, it is just something we do not think about, that like when you touch snow, you're just losing body heat so quick. Like like for when on the clothed areas, it's not so bad, but like eventually I couldn't move like everyone was leaving me behind they weren't going to leave me behind, but they were like, all right, we're through. Come on. What's wrong with you? And so I'm like trying to drudge through the snow, but eventually I'm like, all right, I'm just going to like lay flat and like scoot across the snow because, if you spread out your body weight, like you won't fall through it as easily. And dude, my hands were just like freezing because it's like just holding ice for like
was this
so
like
long.
A torture session to see, like it was like a social experiment, like to see how far they could push you before you turn around or say something. They're like, who's the hardest
and we
worker
never did
here?
It's funny though. They're like,
they didn't prepare you at all. They're like, here, go up in Converse, go up with no gloves on, you're good.
One of the top, how a lot of companies have like their core values, thing. That like their top one is grit. So it was like like True Grit, like the movie. And then like I'm out there and I'm like, oh, okay,
this makes sense now.
Yeah, I see your culture here.
Interesting.
It was a ton of fun though. It was like very fun. And I mean, I wasn't worried or anything. Like we had a ton of food and water. And I had self-service the whole time. It wasn't like in the Smokies where you once you're out there, you're like disconnected from the world. Like I could still GPS myself.
Okay. Well, it looked beautiful. I mean, like the pictures looked like obviously.
Yeah, it was cool.
Nice.
And it was fun to like be in snow during summer.
Yeah,
like,
that'd
to just
be
go
so
somewhere
weird.
And be like, hey, I'm in literally Winter Park. It's called Winter Park. So.
Oh.
It was nice.
Cool.
Very high altitude. I was out of breath the whole time. It's pretty intense. Like we were staying in an Airbnb where it was basically up the side of like a little cliff, like these weird mountain homes. Like they try and build homes where there's like, you're not supposed to build a home here. It's a mountain.
Yeah.
So
weird.
They built this like weird little home that's like it's like 3 stories. So to get to the top, like there's like a couple bedrooms on each story, and so like to get to the top, it was just like really annoying. It was like you basically have to run up these stairs, but then the high altitude makes it so like you're out of breath after the first floor.
It's like your employers were like, how can we really test the? It's like this is your actual interview right here. Like, can you make it to your bedroom?
Yeah, the CEO goes running up past me and he's like, "Wow, a little more hustle, Andrew. Come on, chop chop."
Great.
Oh God.
Oh wow. So and then you're also on the edge of a cliff, so you're like, am I gonna fall over at night? Is this like do you trust
like,
them now? Do you trust did it build some trust like that they didn't let you die, or were you kind of like now you don't trust them because you're like, what are you gonna throw me into?
I almost feel like I kind of was helping them not die. I had most of the food. When I said we had plenty of food and water.
Okay. You're like, actually, I meant I had plenty of food and water.
Yeah. I was like, and then I become the CEO.
Right? Yeah.
No. They bought water purification tablets just in case. And I was like, wow, that's above and beyond.
Did they seem like they knew what they were doing? Like, did they seem like this was something they planned? Or was it like you got there and you're like, maybe they didn't think this through?
They definitely planned to hike that mountain. They didn't plan for it to be covered in snow. I think once we were in like water, like just hiking up the side of a mountain with no trail. I think that was a little unplanned, but there's a few people there that were pretty like adventurous wilderness kind of people. So
cool.
It wasn't that weird. There was a few people that were kind of like, holy crap, what's going on? But,
yeah. No, it sounds fun, and it sounds like a good experience overall. Like, even that's the thing is like even when something is strenuous or stressful or like difficult, sometimes it makes it a little bit more worth it because you know, like obviously you succeeded. Obviously everything was fine. And now you have that memory or whatever. So
yep.
Yeah, that's
I messed up a few times. Like, I don't know how to go through snow. Like, I just don't. Like, that is something that you need to learn at some point. So, like, there's the danger that there are sometimes, like, sticks and stuff in the snow. Yeah. And so when I go, falling through it, sometimes I got, like, stabbed and stuff by, like, random sticks and crap that were, like, frozen in the snow.
Oh, ouch.
So, I was like, oh, God. I came out with, like, so many little scrapes and everything.
Uh-huh. Well, that's funny because, like, over this break we've had, I also watched, just for nostalgia, I watched White Fang. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's such an old movie. I remember that.
Yeah, it's an old movie.
Yeah.
Dang.
But in that movie, obviously it's all in the snow, and they were talking about it, and the main character wanted to, you know, like, go up into the crazy mountains in the snow. And they were like, well, you have to have snowshoes to walk through the snow because you can't, you'll just, like, that's common sense. Like, everybody knows
you're not gonna make
you use snowshoes. So I was like, oh, you going up there without snowshoes? And they're like, if you fall down, we're leaving you. We're leaving you gone.
You're done.
So
there is apparently like a thing where, like, people can die. It's like a tree well, I think they call it. It's super weird. It's like the snow gets really soft around anything that's stuck into it, that, like, you know, it's like a heat sink. Like, it can pull warmth into the snow, so it, like, kind of melts around the base of, like, anything that's stuck into the snow and sticking out of the air.
Yeah.
So there's, like, this weird thing where if it's deep enough, if the snow is deep enough and you, like, walk near a tree, you can, like, slide in, like, to the, like, soft area that it's created, and then you can't get out. Like,
so it's kind of quicksand.
Yeah, kind of, like, but with snow near trees and stuff, and, like, I guess, like, pretty experienced people have died from that.
Wow.
It's bizarre.
Did you find that out after your trip?
Yeah, pretty much. They're like, never go hiking alone because you need this. And I was like, well, I'm glad I wasn't alone. Glad you guys didn't leave me behind.
Yeah. Yeah, ignorance is bliss for sure in those situations.
Yeah, I got known as bandana hands because I had to cover my hands in bandanas to keep them warm.
Yeah, well, good. At least you had something. You could have, like, used socks, like an extra pair of socks.
Yeah, we weren't planning, like, an overnight stay on the mountain, so I don't think we had extra socks. But,
yeah, that's true.
Then my shoe got eaten by the mountain. That was another thing.
Wait, did you have to hike back without a shoe?
No.
Okay.
There was a couple spots, so the snow is melting, obviously, because it's the summer, and a lot of the runoff was lower down the down the mountain where it was more melted. Mm-hmm. And there were some areas that were very muddy. And I just happened at, like, there was like 30 people at this retreat. Maybe like 20 made it up the mountain. It was pretty impressive. So there's a lot of people walking in front of me, and I don't know. I got the, like, bad luck to step perfectly where there was, like, a hidden depth, you know, like there's like a mud hole. So, like, my foot went all the way in, and when I pulled it out, it came out without a shoe. I was like, oh God. And so I, like, pulled it out and had to, like, scrape off all the mud. It's awful. It was pretty wet the entire time. I was slushy.
And at what point in the hike was this?
I was, like, halfway up.
Oh, so awesome.
It's like a fourth of the way in.
That's the worst when you have to climb up with sloshy, like...
Yeah. Honestly, it dried out by the end, so I was like,
okay.
All right, cool.
That's good. So where does this...
Made sure to not fall in any more holes, but,
right.
You know, the snow didn't help.
Yeah, that would be such a big obstacle. But, I mean, you did it, so I guess it turned out okay, as long as you didn't get frostbite or anything like that. But I was going to ask, like, where does this compare in the, like, getting stuck on a mountain in the, like, crazy rain, like, thunderstorm? We talked about that a couple podcasts ago. Yeah. But
these are our life experiences.
Yeah. It's like, go outside and you never know.
Almost
Nature is fierce. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, I would say, more unpleasant, just because you're in a situation where you can't do anything about it. Like, you're just kind of, like, stuck on a mountain while there's, like, a crazy hailstorm going on, and you're just kind of getting pelted with hail, and you're like, well, here I am. So I don't know, the snow was, because you could take it a little more your own pace, you know, like, if some parts were, like, more treacherous or, like, annoying, you could just kind of, like, go slower, you know. But I would say it was definitely more strenuous in the snow. Like, that was one of the most strenuous hikes I've ever been on. Like, short term, maybe, like, Yosemite or Chimney Tops for, like, a little bit, you know, but, like, this was just constantly, like, going through snow for, like, an hour where I'm just, like, drudging, and I'm like, oh my God, up a mountain. It's like, my legs.
It's so funny. I mean, it's a good thing that you you're kind of like in shape now, so it probably helped out a lot. Like, imagine if you hadn't been like riding your bike and jogging and doing all these things beforehand. But
yeah, kind of like, thank you, Lisa.
Well, you're welcome. But I was thinking, like, it's funny because typically people in your profession, I mean, I don't want to stereotype or anything, but people who typically like do work predominantly at a computer all the time can be less active on the regular. But I mean, maybe that's
nerds, you mean?
Hey, I didn't say it. You said it. I didn't say it. I love those people. I'm so terrible. That sounds so bad.
You really convinced me, Lisa. Those individuals are my favorite individuals. Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
They're great.
No.
Canned response.
Yeah.
No, we know, Lisa.
So
from all us nerds, we love you too.
Thank you. Like, every significant other that I've ever had has been like that. So, I'm just saying it's my type, but I've just noticed that, anyway, so I wonder if they were trying to, I don't know, take you guys out of the office, essentially, like give you the complete opposite experience of your day to day.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have an office, which is nice.
Yeah, well, yeah, but, that's true.
Yeah, I guess our individual offices, they were taking us out of, definitely. I hear they're like pretty much, it's a pretty new company. It's like a startup, so they haven't had many like kind of retreats like this, but yeah, it seems like they tend to be kind of like outdoorsy and wildernessy, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah,
I like
that
kind of stuff. I don't know if like
you've always liked that, yeah.
It is kind of nice, like, because there were a few people that, like I said, turned around and stuff on that hike. You're free to like go back whenever you felt like it. And then they got like this nice Airbnb where people just like sit and watch TV. So I think at worst case scenario, you're in the mountains like watching Netflix. So
right, and then you get
on the company's dime.
Home. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you didn't make it up the mountain, so I don't see how you're gonna make it to the end of this quarter.
No, it's good. No, but that's really fun because you get, I mean, I suppose like theoretically, if you stay and you do get more opportunities like this, it's such a good thing because you do like being outside and doing nature stuff, like mountainy stuff and whatever, as long as it's, it's funny because what's nice about it is it takes you out of the heat during the summer. Hopefully that's always a positive. I did not fare too well myself on my mountain trip that I took, which was just, I had some really great moments, obviously, but we had some pretty crazy moments too. So we both had a pretty adventurous summer, I think. And
what happened to you?
Well, before I say that, you didn't do anything.
That's a whole thing.
So anyway, change of subject. Now, what did you do anything other than Colorado for the summer? I feel like you went on a trip somewhere else, but
I will be going to a trip in a week.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. I knew you had something planned, but I wasn't sure if it happened.
Yeah, I'm going to be going to Vermont, so that should be fun.
That's so pretty there. I mean, I've heard it. So.
I've never been, so I'll let you know.
Thanks.
Yeah, I've been kind of like in the Northeast, but not there.
Yeah.
I think I was in New Hampshire at one point, but for like a day.
Mm-hmm.
When I was like, I don't know, 14.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
Right. Yeah. I haven't been up there since probably even younger than you. Like probably like, I want to say maybe, actually it probably was around the same time, or I don't know, maybe 8 or 9. But anyways, yeah, so I went to the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee, and we do that every year pretty much with the family. And this year we decided to, every year we hike up Mount LeCount, and that's always beautiful. It's strenuous. It's super strenuous. It's really hard, but once you get to the top, it has the most beautiful views, and it's always worth it. But this year we got to stay in the lodge that's up there.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, you've stayed there before, but I've never stayed there before, ever, in my whole life. So it was like a new experience for me. And
it is, on paper, the worst deal.
Yeah.
It's like really expensive. It's always booked out, so you need to like plan it so far in advance.
Yes.
COVID might have changed that, but
no, it's still
then they have. Yeah. So, and then your amenities are no hot or even running water. And you have to like buy food from a cafeteria that's basically like some granola bars.
No, actually they had a lodge dining hall, and included in the stay was breakfast and dinner. So when we got there, we had dinner, and then the next morning we had breakfast. But
like, give me an over and under on what this breakfast was. Okay. It was like pancakes, bacon, some eggs.
Yeah,
you get a little hot cocoa.
It was all of it, all of that.
All of the above.
Yeah,
wow.
It was really, and I mean, they had like hash brown stuff. They had pancakes. They had bacon.
Did they have electricity?
They did not. They do not have electricity. Everything is by like light lanterns that you actually light with fire, and like oil burning lanterns. You know what I'm talking about?
Like a barbarian.
like a
firefighter.
Like a what?
Like a firefighter.
Oh, like a firefighter. Yes, but I mean, I was trying to think of like, you know, the era of that this was normal for.
Like the 1800s.
I guess so. Yeah. So, it was kind of nice to like be transported into that time, I guess. And but we actually fared very well on weather, because it was supposed to rain like a lot that trip. And anytime we were out actually doing things, it wasn't raining, but it did rain like at nighttime, and it rained, you know, like when we were not out and about, a couple different times, but it did pour down rain when we were up there. But luckily we had a cabin, so even though there wasn't electricity, it was actually kind of cooled everything down, and it was like nice to hear the rain in the outside. But it was like a major thunderstorm. So, but the bad thing about it was it rained so hard and for so long and so much that, and you're on the top of a mountain, so there was basically a flood that came through the lodge camp, and it went right by our cabin. So we step out of our cabin, there's a porch, but if you have to leave, which you do have to leave if you ever want to use the bathroom, you have to go out into the rain and the
hike out to the porta potties.
Exactly. And the porta potty is not close, it's like on the other side of camp. So I was like, I had to go at one point. It was probably midnight or around there. And because I wanted to go earlier, but it was pouring down rain.
You got to bring an inflatable raft.
Right? I mean, I should have brought like something to pee off the side of the deck with, but I didn't. So anyway, so because Caleb was super excited about this whole experience, Caleb is our nephew. He's 9.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. He's turning 10 in September. Well, yeah. So, but he's 9. But, yeah.
But he would be upset if you didn't let people know that he was turning 10.
Of course. Like, it's the biggest year of your life. So he was out on the patio, the porch the whole time, like playing with the water, watching the lightning, and he would run out and run back in, you know, he was like having a blast. So when he heard that I had to use the bathroom, he's like, I have to use the bathroom too. And so Tim was like,
great, I'll jump on your back, and then you swim us there.
No, Tim was like, our older brother was like, oh, okay, why don't we just all go together? Like, so Tim, Caleb, and I got all together. We put on which I was already changed into you get really sweaty and gross climbing up the mountain. So I'd already sort of
this is your cozy
cleaned
wear.
Up. I was in my cozy wear. I was in my cozy bed. It was all good. And I was like, dang it. So we got all bundled up back again and like in our rain gear, and we go out there. This water was freezing cold. I was chattering my teeth so hard, uncontrollably. Like I could not stop my teeth from chattering.
Oh boy.
That they were like knocking together. I was like, please don't chip. Please don't chip. But it turned out.
You were worried about chipping.
I really was. I was like, well, stop. But
oh no, my gosh, you should have like a bite stick. You should have stuck your wallet in your mouth.
I should. Yeah, I was trying really hard not to like chatter, but I get really. I mean, I get cold really easily anyway. But this water was for like stepping in ice, basically, all the way to the porta potty, and then you're in, the porta potty. There's no electricity or anything, so it was just a fun experience, and I don't regret that. Like, it was actually kind of cool, something different, something fun. It actually flooded.
While your teeth were chattering, you're like, this is something different. It's cool.
Well, you have to like make the best of every situation that you're in. So
I totally agree.
Yeah. But it was kind of interesting. And then the next day they told us that it flooded so much that it like completely went into the dining hall and like flooded the dining hall. So they had to like get rid of all of the water essentially before breakfast, which was I don't know.
Like what? I mean, buckets?
You would think
Did somebody go out there and like bail out the camp?
I think they like, it was just enough to like, they had to sweep it out. Like, you know, I don't know. It was interesting. Plus we were there on a day when the llamas go up. So we got to see the llamas. Fun. Yeah. I've never got to see the llamas. So what's interesting about this, and I'll tell the audience, people listening, we've been going up there since we were children, like probably more than 30, 40 times we've been up there. And every time we go up there, we hike this mountain. And I've never stayed on the top and I've never seen the llamas. And I got to do both this year, which is just fun. So that was good parts of the trip. This year.
That was the good part?
Yeah, this is the good part. The bad part was this year we decided to bike Cades Cove. So Cades Cove, for people who don't know, is a scenic drive that you can drive through. You can drive really slow and then you look at the scenery and you look at the woods and you look at the fields and the mountains. And a lot of times you'll see different animals, deer, hedgehogs, bears, foxes, you know, things like that. But one day a week, they close the drive to cyclists only. So normally we don't.
Hey, perfect.
Yeah, apparently they do it all the time, but like every year they close it one day a week. But we've never coordinated our schedule enough to like ever do that. But this year we did, and I actually really loved it. It was like I would recommend doing that. It's a very cool experience. It's a whole different perspective than driving, and it's
Lisa.
Yeah.
I think you are confused about the definitions of good and bad parts of your trip.
Okay, but
you're like the freezing water was the good part, but biking through scenic Cades Cove, seeing the nature, one of the most wonderful experiences of my life. That's a bad part.
No, I loved it, but there was an incident that derailed this whole experience for me.
An incident.
Yeah. So
was it bear related?
It was bear related. So
okay.
It was, and we were on. So basically, it's still in the mountains. So there are very steep hills that you have to bike up, and then you bike down, and you have to control your speed going down, or you can lose control. They're very steep. Well, we went up one of these inclines to the top, and then as we were going over the peak, we see a bear in the road, like staring right at us, and it's a bit away, probably like 20 feet. But it's close enough that we're like, what do we do?
That's a bear.
Yeah, it's a bear. And he's walking towards us. So we're like, what should we do? And then
he's playing chicken with you.
He's looking at us, but he's not, he doesn't seem concerned. But then he decides, okay, I'm going to go into the woods. So we're like, oh, okay, we're good. He's going into the woods. But when he walks into the woods, we kind of like turn our heads to watch him go into the woods. And we realize, wait a minute, there's a bear right next to us. In the woods.
It was like the raptor situation. Clever girl.
And I was like, okay, I think we should probably move. So well, first Tim told Caleb, like, hey, Caleb, keep going down. Now that the bear's out of the way, go down the hill because there's a
go on, keep going.
And then, but we stayed still. Just at first, we were recording a little bit, on our phones. It's like, oh, look, there's a bear. But then once we realized there was one next to us, we were like, oh no, we can't be this close. So we need to keep going. So we start moving, but there's so the bears intersect and then they start fighting. And then the other bear is like, I don't want to fight. And he starts running out of the woods towards us, like right at us.
He's like, help me. This guy's crazy.
Yeah, he was like, I don't want to get eaten. Help me. And to me, I was like, I don't want to get eaten. Help me. So anyway, but we're all kind of panicking, trying to like get moving quickly. And obviously,
you stampeded.
But it's kind of crazy because you can't take off fast when you're already on an incline. So like we were already on this incline when this happened. And so anyways, we're all going, Dad's behind me, Tim's in front of me, and I'm going down, and then I, like, in the panic, my foot slipped off the pedal. And by doing that, I kind of pulled my bike towards the left a little bit. And when that happened, I started to lose control because I was going downhill. And then the dumbest part, I'm so dumb. So this is the reason that I completely
in retrospect, you're like, oh God.
Yeah,
no.
It was so dumb. I'm not even embarrassed. I'm just like, I feel dumb. But anyway, it all happened so fast. I was panicking, whatever. But I hit the brake only on one side of my bike completely.
Oh, the front one?
Yeah, the front one. Completely. Like, I squeezed it all the way down rather than just like slightly to slow down. I stopped the bike essentially. And we're moving very fast downhill, and I just basically went flying forward and off the bike. Wow. And I took a pretty bad spill.
Oh, yeah. That's like the kind of stunt they do in movies.
Probably.
You're a stunt woman.
I guess I could put that on my resume now. Yeah.
I've done a bike flip.
I've done a bike
with no pad.
I don't know what it. Unfortunately, nobody really got it on camera, so there's no evidence of this. But I was bruised up and scratched up, like head to toe. Like, my ankle still hurts now.
Did you go to the doctor?
Well, this is the thing. I scratched up my hands really bad, and then my right wrist still hurts. Like, I sprained it, essentially. But I thought it could be something worse. So, because it was hurting even 2 days after the accident. So, I was like, I don't know, should we get it? And Tim recommended that I do go and get it x-rayed just to be safe, or,
Ugh, what a doctor thing to say.
No, well, I know, like, and then it was safe. And I did kind of, I was curious because I was like, I don't want to make it worse by not knowing. So I guess I should know. So anyway, so I had to go.
We should know,
Yeah. But unfortunately, the only way for them, they had clinics like, like
we don't have that kind of technology here. I'm more of a veterinarian, but I can fire up the machine old Betsy usually gets in.
It was kind of a situation.
Okay, with the cow holder on either side of you.
That would be so fun, though. Like, to have, like, some weird contraption. No, but, like, they were, like, emergency clinics, but they didn't have x-rays, so they sent me to a hospital to get it, and so I got it at the hospital. But the bad thing about that is that while I was at the hospital, I got COVID, and then I was...
the bunches just keep coming.
Yeah. So I was fine for, like, 5 days, but then, like, once I got home, of course, like a few days after I was home,
maybe it's not a problem.
Super sick for 2 full weeks. And then I'm still kind of recovering, like, a little bit, but I'm officially, like, negative. But I still have certain, things like,
right. Residual
symptoms, but they're going away. I mean, I'm basically 100% now, so.
I'm basically 100%.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm good.
I'm all good. But it was still fun.
That's wild. Wow.
I know. I feel it's just silly because it's like everybody falls off their bike, but does everybody fall off their bike as an adult? No. While being chased by a bear. Did you immediately, were you on adrenaline and you immediately popped up and kept running? Kind of, yeah. Dad came over and he's like, "Oh, Lisa, are you okay?" And he's like looking behind at the bear. Huh? My dad or your dad? Our dad. Yeah, sorry. Our dad, yeah. He came over to make sure I was okay. And then he's like looking back at the bear to make sure because usually when you run from a bear, they chase you. Because they think it's fun. Yeah, they're like, oof. So, but he was a little preoccupied. He was in a fight for his life. Right. But I think the actual crash scared him. So he started running the other way. He's like, that woman's crazy. Let's go. So really, guys, I saved their life. Okay? Yep. That's the moral of the story. The distraction. I was the hero. This is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. But that's what a harrowing story. Tale. Yeah. Thank you. That's amazing. Yeah. How did you, what was... This is the weirdest follow-up question because I feel but how was COVID? Actually, it was kind of like a really bad flu, I guess. So I had it pretty moderate. So worse than normal, you'd say, at least. Yeah, no, it wasn't that bad for me. I mean, not more than a flu. I never felt like I had to go to the hospital or anything. I never felt, my body wasn't going to recover, I guess. Well, that's good. There was a couple times where I was coughing so much that I couldn't catch my breath for a second. And I was like, oh, I can see how somebody who, maybe wasn't as fit could like be really scared by that. But it never got to a point where I was like worried that I wouldn't catch my breath, I guess, like it wasn't.
Yeah, where you're like unable to.
Right.
Like, well, I'm dead now because I can't.
Yeah, I'm dead.
So yeah, you lived.
I survived, and I feel great. Like I had like, how after you're sick, you have kind of like a boost of like for a while you're recovering and your body takes a while to get back into the rhythm and whatever. But then it's like you have this new lease on life at some point. There's like a transitional period where it's like all of a sudden you're like, bam, you have all this energy. That's kind of where I'm at right now, as you can probably
You're like,
tell.
oh, I survived. It's like right after you like, don't fall off a cliff you thought for sure you were going to, and then you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I've got my whole life to live.
It was kind of like that too. You do have those moments where you're like, oh, life is so beautiful. You didn't really think about before. But yeah, I would do it again. Like I wasn't put off to cycling in Cades Cove. So it was a nice experience other than that. And even that.
Maybe next time avoid the bear.
Right. Yeah, next time. There was a couple other little reasons why. Like, I won't get into it, but there was a problem with my handlebars, and so I was only really able to steer with one hand.
Interesting.
And so yeah. Anyway,
I was like, oh, you're gonna pretend like it's not your fault, and you're like, I had one handlebar.
Well, no, I had two, but it was like I was carrying a bunch of different water bottles and different things on my handlebar areas, so I was it did impede my
so you never know when you're gonna run into a bear.
Yeah, I would not do that in the future. I would make sure that I had all brakes accessible, I guess.
I like to think that it's like how parents are always weird about the weirdest things. It's like, you never put something on your handlebars. What if a bear comes up and then you have to brake suddenly? Think about that.
Exactly.
Think about that, Jonathan. Jeez.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so those are the adventures that we've had lately, keeping us from you guys. But we're back, and actually, we're both leaving.
We're back and better than ever.
We're both leaving again in the next couple months, but
you guys want that because we come back with stories like
stories
these
to tell. Yeah. So I think we can end here and then pick up next week with our next episode with a I don't know, something else.
Cool. Hey, everybody. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Stay safe. Stay away from bears. Bye.
And when we're in the distance, you'll hear this whispered tune. So long, very well, big cheerio. We'll be back soon.
Bloop. You know what we didn't do?
We didn't do an outro and promote our merch and do our sponsor read and do the call to action, get people to subscribe.
We didn't do all of those things, you're right. But
we didn't invest wisely in Bitcoin.
I love you. Bye-bye.